Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to my biology final. Today I'm going to be going over polydactyly, and I'm going to start off by presenting my screen. No? Okay. I'm going to present. And so what? Move into. So here's the overview. Polydactyly is a condition where someone is born with one or more extra fingers or toes. It can occur in one or both hands or feet. The name comes from the Greek poly, many, and dactylos, finger. The extra finger or toes are described as supernumerary, which means more than the normal number. And for this reason, this condition is sometimes called supernumerary digit. What type of disorder is this? This polydactyly can occur by itself or more commonly as one feature of a syndrome or congenital anomalies. When it occurs by itself, it is associated with the autosomal dominant mutations in single genes, i.e., it is not a multifactorial trait. Now, how is it inherited? Polydactyly may be passed down in families. It comes from the mother, the father, and when it's passed down, it's known as familial polydactyly. The form of polydactyly typically happens in isolation, meaning a person may not experience any associated symptoms. Polydactyly can also be associated with a genetic condition or syndrome, which means it may be passed down along with a genetic condition. If polydactyly is not passed down, it occurs due to a change of the baby's genes while it's in the womb. It is caused by a dominant allele of a gene. That means it can be passed down by just one allele from one parent having the disorder. And now, what is the cause of disorder? Now, the cause is typically a genetic malfunction in the womb. That typically happens when there's a single dominant gene in either the mom or the father, and it's passed down into the child, and typically happens at birth. And the specific disorder sits on chromosome 7. It is a dominant trait, and the number is shown as such. Here we have one of the parents has a dominant trait, polydactyly, and one is normal. As you can tell, it's a dominant trait, and the genotypes. Here we have Emma the Tichi, who made this incredible name. Here we have our genotypes as 50% dominant trait and 50% recessive trait. And the phenotypes would be 50% polydactyly and 50% normal, so it's a 1-to-1 ratio about. Diagnosis. It's a pretty straightforward diagnosis. The doctors will examine the appendages, the extra appendage, and they will put it under x-ray to see where the extra appendage stems from. And the x-ray may help the doctor identify these. And the doctor will also ask questions about their family and medical history to help them diagnose the cause. Questions may include, does anyone else in the family have additional fingers or toes? Is there a family history in these genetic conditions, and are there symptoms or health concerns? Doctor may carry out further tests, including chromosome studies, enzyme tests, metabolic studies, and sometimes polydactyly is diagnosed during the first 3 months of pregnancy. This is done using an ultrasound or an embryo fetoscopy. Now, what kind of treatment are there? It really depends on what type of condition the person has. There's the small finger duplication and the thumb duplication. For the small finger duplication, you may not require treatment, as it does not usually affect how people can use their hand, because it's usually just a small appendage coming out from the pinky or the thumb. One of our great teachers has this emoji. He has a small little appendage coming out from his pinky, but it's very minor. If an extra small finger is only partially formed and it does not contain any bone, it may be easily removed. However, it's usually just for cosmetic reasons. To remove the small finger duplication, a doctor may do this by tying a tight string around the base of the finger This cuts off the blood supply, allowing excess soft tissue to fall away naturally. This procedure often takes place in the first year after birth. If an extra small finger is more fully formed or functional, it may require surgical remove. There's then the thumb duplication. Treatments for thumb duplication are more complicated because the extra small thumb may affect the function of the other thumb. For this reason, it may not be possible to remove the extra thumbs simply. Surgery may be needed to reconstruct one functioning thumb using both parts of the thumb. There are a variety of different surgical options available depending on the position and formation stage of the extra thumb. Now, when you have one of the extra thumbs growing, there might be a blockage right here in the base, so you might not be able to move the thumb. That's why it's a more serious symptom, a more serious condition as opposed to small finger duplication. And but who wouldn't want an extra thumb? Koalas. Um, Finally, we have our Kids Health Organization. It is a health awareness organization helping advocate for people with the polydactyly disorder and educating people on this disorder. They give insight on how one could possibly find treatment. They also have educational studies. They have educational programs at hospitals, different organizations. They basically raise awareness for polydactyly and raise money as well to make sure that kids and even parents get the help they need for polydactyly. I'd like to thank the biggest thanks to medicalnewstoday.com and for most of my information today. All the images I got were from Google, raredisease.org, Wikipedia, and finally kidshealth.org. And thank you. The greatest takeaway I would say is just it's not as serious as a disorder um, as others, such as Down syndrome or Huntington's. This is most causes for this syndrome is purely cosmetic. People would get rid extra thumb disorder isn't as common as the small pinky. Because the small pinky is not usually removed unless the parents would want it to be removed because it has no effect on the child or the parent. So it's easily removed or not removed as we have one case with Armoji. The thumb, however, it is a serious disorder. It gets in the way of hand movement, gets in the way of thumb movement, of appendage movement, and it is removed. So I'm recording real quick. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. And have a great day. Assalamu alaikum.